haven't seen you in like 2 weeks.
I know, man. Fucking stupid ass quarantine. And
So,
then,
where are you at right now?
right now, I'm in the kitchen.
Where's the fam?
Well, they're like in the living room. I just told them to fucking that I'm gonna do a podcast. Just everybody, shut the fuck up.
Shit, a year ago they would have been like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, yeah, man. But fuck, I mean,
Wow. Welcome to the first ever Reverend Filo Zoom podcast.
Hello, welcome everybody.
Broadcasting from our homes.
Yeah, and we were kind of forced by one of my fucking relatives.
Yeah, well, what happened with that? We had a relative that tested positive.
Yeah, tested positive, inconsiderate, didn't give a fuck, and still went to visit some other family members that. Now,
how did she even get a test? Because like, I haven't been watching the news, so yeah. I really don't know what the progression is as far as all I ever really get news about is what's going on with the stay-at-home order, which at this point was it the 14th of May? Yeah. They said they were going to start. First, they said they were going to start slowly lifting restrictions, but then, a day later, they were like, "Oh wow, expect it to go until July or through July." So pretty much till August.
Yeah, I heard like August they should be reopening. But she was able to get a test because her grandfather tested positive. Well, he had symptoms and he went to the hospital. He tested positive, and now
he's okay now.
Well, they sent him home on quarantine because his symptoms didn't seem to progress any further, any more dangerous than they were. Mm-hmm. And he was. And they have too many people in the beds, so there's not enough people to take care of them.
Oh yeah.
So if you're not severe, then they'll send you home, but you have to quarantine. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that's what, because we don't really talk to that side of the family. The only reason why this connects, which I'll get to that in a minute, was so her grandpa tested positive. Then now their family, whoever lives in the household, has to get tested. So that's how she was.
Oh, okay. I thought you were about to say that the whole family tested positive.
No. So just her and her grandpa.
Okay.
Which is kind of weird. Which is why this virus is so weird. Because some people test positive and some people don't.
And they're fine.
Yeah, and they're fine. And then like them, so like her grandpa tested positive and he got sick. Now he's back and he's supposed to be quarantining for the remainder of the week. That would be his 2 weeks, and then he'll get another test to see if he's okay. She tested positive, but she had minor symptoms like before they found out her grandpa got sick. And then they went away and she's fine, and then she got tested and now she's positive. And so the way it connects to me is, she went to my grandma's house where she shouldn't have after known she was positive. She was known to be positive. My grandma let her hang out there because they have a pool. And
Dan, can I come over?
Yeah, not right now. Well, I'm gonna get to that.
Yeah, okay.
So she.
Where do they live? Do they live in Lincoln Heights or?
No, Southgate. It's Southgate.
Okay.
And so she goes over there. They do that. We find out she's positive through Facebook or Instagram. Out of fucking all places.
She posted it?
Yeah, she posted it. I don't know what she wanted, like some kind of.
Well, where else is she supposed to post it? It's not like she has her own website.
Well, she could have just, called us and been like, hey,
Oh, you guys found out.
Yeah, that's how we found out. And
sorry.
And so that's how we found out. And then later on, we find out that she was hanging out there. My dad had he delivers food and stuff to my grandparents over there.
Right.
Because they don't want to go out. They're too old.
Right. They're elderly.
Mm-hmm. So now that we found out within that time frame, my dad may have been exposed to the virus. So my grandparents get tested, and now they test positive. As of I think like a couple of days ago, they tested positive. So we still have to quarantine. My dad wasn't there long with the doctors because they asked my grandparents, like, how did they contract it from her? Like, was she showing any symptoms? Well, my grandparents didn't tell us for whatever reason. Maybe they were scared or they didn't want us to like completely shun them, or I don't know what it was, but they didn't. They left out a piece of information which would have been great to have known. But they said that she laid in my grandpa's bed when she was there.
Doing what? Take a nap?
I guess. I don't know. Like, I guess, I don't know if she was trying to be cute or what, but she laid in my grandpa's bed.
Be cute? What do you mean be cute?
Because my grandpa can't really get up. He has, so he's usually laying in the bed. And,
wow. So he's already like a sickly guy.
Yeah. He needs, like, he needs help to do things, to get up and walk and stuff like that. He has a serious, I think he has a heart condition that's almost the same as my dad.
Right.
Just a little bit progressively worse. Anyway, so, he laid there, gave my grandpa a kiss. So my grandma, obviously sleeps in the same bed. Mm-hmm. She fucking got it too. So now but my uncle lives with them and he tested negative. Okay. Which is why I say this, this virus is, it's weird.
It's unpredictable, it seems.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's why we're quarantining, and that's why we're here on Zoom, because I don't know
have you been to your grandfather's house, or you came in contact with them?
No,
or your uncle?
No, just my dad. So I mean, we're just taking precautions because the doctor told my dad it's most likely he's a low risk. It's still a chance he may have contracted it, but he's very low risk, and as long as he didn't touch anything, just went in and dropped off the food like he said he did. Yeah, we should be fine. So
you're right. The virus really is unpredictable. I don't know if I told you this already, but because we do talk from time to time, just but not on the podcast. But a friend of my dad's father-in-law contracted it.
Oh shit!
And he passed away. He died.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, he got it.
How old was he?
He was, well, I would have to say late 60s, early 70s, if I had to guess. I knew the guy, the gentleman who passed away. He's an older guy. Mm-hmm. I hadn't seen him in a long time. But I had met him before and hung out with him before. They were big sports fans. So like sometimes when I was a teenager, they would have like, Super Bowl parties or whatever. And my dad would take me and we would go. So we would hang out. He was a big Rams fan. In fact, he was a humongous sports fan. And I guess he had a friend who worked at the LA Times. So the friend found out that he had passed away. So he wrote an article about him in the paper.
Oh, sure.
And it was just about him just being a diehard fan. He was a diehard Rams fan, diehard LA Dodger fan, Laker fan. What? The guy. Sorry, it's my lunch hour.
I know. I got mine too. I got some cup noodles.
Nice. He contracted it, and I think in 2 weeks he died.
Fuck.
So I mean, I don't know. It's like. You get it and nothing happens, or you get it and like you deteriorate in a matter of days.
Yeah, like my cousin's grandpa, he is 80, like 82, 83, something like that. And he was sick, but I guess he got lucky or he's just that strong and he was able to just come back home. I mean, aside from the fact that they're not trying to keep anybody who's not that severe, but I mean, to me, what was impressive is an 83-year-old or 80+-year-old, contracting the disease and then just coming back like if nothing happened.
I mean, my grandfather is he's going to be 90 this year, and of course we're all worried about him, and we don't want him being too loose with like going out and this. I mean, there's shit's been closed for damn near 2 months. So I mean, there's nowhere to go anyways. But I've talked to him a couple of times, and I would call him and I said, hey, are you staying inside? He's like, yeah, fine, whatever. I guess. He goes, I leave if I have to. I go, well, you gotta be careful. You're old and this and that. Yeah, I go. Thanks. And I'm like, wow, shit. I mean, I guess, fuck, you can't live your life in fear,
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
like he was telling me just a couple weeks ago that he was at the doctor, and the doctor tells him to stop eating fast food. They said, Don, I think it's best that you stop eating fast food, stop going out so much, and really start cooking at home and eating at home. And my grandpa says, he tells the doc, I'm 89 years old. He goes, yeah, I don't know how to cook. My wife's dead. Who's gonna cook for me? I can't cook. I've been eating fast food my whole life. I ain't gonna stop now. So
that's fucking insane.
He don't give a fuck. Dude.
Yeah.
He's like, whatever. What is there to change? What?
Meanwhile, here you are. Here I am. Like, man, we gotta stop eating fast food.
Well, yeah, but at our age, it could make a difference. At his age, could it make a difference? Yes. But, I mean, I don't know. Like
does he really want it at that point, right?
He just doesn't, he's like, I don't know. It's like, it sounds bad, but he's like, what am I going to start making, like, to prolong my life? He's like, I lived a long-ass life already. Like, hey, when it's my time, it's my time,
Yeah.
I guess when you get to that age, it's kind of like, shmeh, you've seen it all,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, how's he doing with the Netflix?
Last time I talked to him, he said he watches 2 movies a day.
Damn.
So I'm glad that worked out.
Nice. What is he watching?
I haven't asked him specifically, but I'm sure he found his way. He finds his way around it. And then once you start using it, and you know how Netflix works. Once you start using it and they see what you're watching,
they kind of just
they start like it starts fixing like your algorithm, so that watch this, because you want
I read something the other day too. Like there's fear in Hollywood right now, or like just the filming industry as a whole, where like they're not sure where everything is gonna go, like because production has halted and they're not sure when it's gonna. And
a lot of stuff has been postponed.
Exactly, and they're not.
A lot of stuff hasn't been postponed though. A lot of stuff has just been digitally released.
Yeah,
it's like big shit.
Stuff that's already done, but there's stuff that's like that was in the middle of production or about to start production.
You know
what I mean? Where they're not sure whether they're going to continue to film or if they're even going to have new shit at all. Like for the next, they're probably not going to have like shit coming out. I want to say we'll start running out of shit to watch or new stuff to watch, like probably after the summer, which I guess. Right now it's fine. I
mean, there's so much shit that I've never seen.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, this is just the opportunity to catch up.
But you know what? I go back and forth. I go back and forth. As of recent, all I've really been watching is like, I saw a couple documentaries. I saw the Imagineering story. That was fucking great.
You watched it all already?
I saw it all already. Yeah, it's very inspiring. It really shows you. It makes you want to love your work because like these people, what they do is very hard. You have to be not only do you have to be smart and like innovative, but you also have to be creative. Because I don't know if I told you this. I was telling my dad, I think, a lot of the technology that they came out with. Like audio animatronics and a lot of the stuff that came to fruition when Disneyland opened. A lot, and to this day, when they're releasing new rides and this and that, a lot of the technology, like it didn't exist. They had to invent the technology.
Which is crazy because like if when I watched the first episode and you go back and you watch that, it's almost like it's almost like he was the Elon Musk of his.
At least of amusement parks, and there's a quote. I don't think it comes out in the first episode, but the reason why he got so into amusement parks at the end of his life, talking about Walt Disney, is he was saying, he goes, when I do a film, I release the film, and then that's it. I'll never be. That's whatever I was able to pull off at that time. That's it. I can never improve on it. you can now, like, there's restorations and you could like, you can technically improve on it, like maybe from a visual standpoint. But he said, that's it though. That's all I can do is improve. He goes, with my park and my rides, he goes, I could put something up, but I could always make it better.
Yeah, can always go back.
Continue to make it better and make it better. And to see episode 1 where they're talking about Disneyland and all the shit they developed in the 50s and 60s, all the way to, they go through every park all the way to the last episode, which is Shanghai, China, Shanghai Disneyland. A lot of the dark rides, Peter Pan, maybe not Peter Pan because that one flies, but like Snow White and the other one, the Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Those are those are dark rides. I know you know that, but for people who don't know that, a lot of them aren't even on tracks anymore. They're not on tracks. They're like they're just cars that are programmed onto floors, and like they're like interacting with like magnets that are like in the ground, so they're able to do a lot more movements. And, like so it's crazy.
It makes it the experience just much more immersive, because now
much more immersive. They talked about Rise of the Resistance. Oh, yeah. They talked about that one, and they talked about how that was really something that they had never done, because it's not really a track ride. It's not really your traditional get on the ride, experience the ride. How it's more of like, I don't even know. I've never been on it, so I don't know. But
I went on it the last time I went,
and it's like an experience or something. Or
it's almost like you walk into the show, and you walk into Star Wars, like the movie.
Yeah, and that's really their MO is to. They say that they're like, they want it to be like a magic trick, like they don't want you sitting there thinking like, wow, how did they do this? They just want you to just be completely immersed. Like, wow, you know what I'm saying? They don't want you to figure out how they made it happen. They want you to feel like it's real.
It's funny you say that, because I remember as a kid, specifically for the Pirates of the Caribbean, looking up at the sky and always wondering, man, how does it look like there's clouds, like you're in the night sky?
Yeah.
And there's clouds in there, and it always tripped me out. And then now as an adult, I look up and I can see like the paint. I can see, like what they used to kind of mask it. And and I hate that I did that I looked at it and
for sure,
because it took me out of it.
It loses its magic. And like, it's fun to know and it's interesting, but then ultimately it can never. It could, it'll never look at it the same. But that. So I've been watching that. That's that's why they call them Imagineers, because it really is a combination of engineering and imagining. They imagine these things, and then they have to figure out, well, how the fuck do we even do that? Because that it's never been done before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's funny. They talk about Michael Eisner, and then they talk about Bob Iger.
Yeah.
And it's funny, in the last episode, they show Bob Iger opening Shanghai Disney, and he's opening day, and he's giving the same speech that Walt Disney gave when he opened Disneyland, right, in 66 or 65 or whatever. And they kind of cut back and forth, between Walt and him, and they give the whole speech, but they give a line to Walt and they give a line to Bob Iger.
Trying to kind of like mirror the.
Yeah, and it's like they kind of go back and forth.
Yeah.
And it's a tearjerker, man.
I was telling you, man, that first episode fucking got me on fucking.
Yeah, you gotta watch the whole thing though. You gotta, cause like they started Disneyland and they go to Epcot, and then they go to Hong Kong Disney and Paris Disney, and they go through all the Animal Kingdom. They talk about all the parks.
Yeah.
And they talk about how, like, when Walt Disney died, and how they were like, holy shit, because he was really like their leader, especially of the creative teams,
Yeah.
And every once in a while, as they
why don't you right there?
They reference Walt,
Oh, they drive it.
They reference Walt.
We can hear you.
It's all good.
We can hear you.
Well, I didn't know you were doing that. Why did you go on there?
Hey, Ma. No. Then so they just they go chronologically, but throughout the documentary, throughout the episodes, they'll play clips of Walt talking about like the park and talking about his creative process, and it's just crazy how they play these. He's been dead since what, 66?
Yeah.
How all these ideas and all these sort of his creative process is still being utilized. Really, his basic
Ideology.
Ideology. That's a good way. His basic ideology on what makes a great theme park.
Yeah.
They still use that. It's still being utilized to this day. And really, Disneyland, they really invented the amusement park market as we know it today. Before Disneyland, amusement parks were kind of like they were kind of known to be dirty, and they were kind of like, there wasn't really a family of what we know now. It wasn't like that. And a lot of people told Walt Disney, why the fuck would you want to open an amusement park?
Yeah.
But he
just saw something that other people didn't.
Yeah, exactly. He was just an innovator. He was there's every once in a while there's people who could just see into the future. And like Steve Jobs is a fucking great Steve Jobs, I remember when the iPad came out, a lot of people were like, well, what the fuck is this? Like, it's cool, but what's it for? Like, I have my phone because it does what my phone does.
Yeah.
And I have my laptop, and it does what my laptop does. So what do I even need this for? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point of it? And now everyone has.
Yeah, now everyone has.
Everyone has a tablet now, and people use tablets like it's been integrated into our everyday life. And that's they're called vision. They call visionary. They have vision. They can literally see into the future.
Yeah, just like video games, man. We've been playing a bunch of video games now.
I've been pretty immersed. Well, before we move on to that, I've been watching. So I was watching that. Mm-hmm. There was something else I watched that was like a documentary, and I can't remember what it was now. It mustn't have been that good. I've been watching a lot of YouTube, but I've been watching a shitload of Simpsons.
Yeah, I saw your post.
I just been watching Matt. Like I watched like season 9, then I watched season 10, then I went back and watched season 7, all the way through every episode, and I've seen all these episodes of it. And then I went all the way back to season 2, and I watched season 2 all the way through, and now I'm watching season 3. And what's funny is I watch all this stuff, but what I do is I watch there's this channel I found. It's called The Real Gyms, and he does I don't know if he does exclusively Simpsons media, but he does a lot of Simpsons media, and he does season retrospectives, and he talks about like how that season fits in with the overall show, and what how they evolved from the season before it, and what and the kind of and like what groundwork they were sort of laying for the season that came next. So he goes season by season. So I saw season 2, and then I watched the retrospective, and then I see season 3, then I watched the retrospective. That's how much I love The Simpsons.
Damn.
Look at that. Anyways, so
well, just like TV, I guess, like video games. Did you hear about okay, well, first off, this whole pandemic is, most of the jobs are probably not going to be back. Like Disneyland, Shanghai just opened. They opened up at 30%, right? As of today, they've been open for since last Friday.
They opened up. They reopened.
They reopened, but at 30%. So it's May 14th. So as of
Shanghai, based on the Imagineering documentary, that's the park to go to, bro.
Really?
Like because like going back to the documentary real quick, they go through the Michael Eisner years, right? And Michael Eisner, it's funny, like they say, like Michael Eisner, like single-handedly saved Disney and single-handedly drove it straight into the ground. They said, because like he came and he sort of like breathed new life into it, but then like towards the end he kind of fucked it all up.
Yeah.
And a lot of the parks he made were lackluster because he tried to make them cheap, and he tried to undermine the Walt Disney ideology, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's funny. And so when Bob Iger came into power. When Bob Iger became the CEO.
During the Bob Iger reign.
Yeah, truly. I mean, he took all the best shit of Walt Disney, but he also took everything that Michael Eisner did wrong and eliminated that. So it was like, it's pretty much the best park since the original Disneyland.
Shit, okay.
Based off of this documentary. I've never been there.
Well, since the pandemic, it closed. So now there's new restrictions and new policies that they're going to implement, and Shanghai Disney is really going to be the example or the standard that's going to be set for the rest of the theme parks once everything opens. So, they open at 30%. So now everybody's going to have their jobs. And so far, I mean, they sold out, but, of course, you're going to sell out. If you're Disney and you're the most popular thing since, sliced bread, I guess, so to speak, you're gonna sell out regardless of what. And
Disney's popular, for the right reasons. They put out quality shit. Not everything, but like when they get it right, they not only do they get it right, they set the precedent,
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that being said,
I remember the documentary I was watching, but we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. There's actually a lot to say. I have a lot to say about that.
Okay. So, companies are going to start doing this where you're going to open at 30%. So a lot of companies are realizing that people can work from home. And one of the thriving businesses right now, video games.
Right.
Not due just to the sales, but because
damn it, sorry.
they can have their employees work from home. Now, it's not as efficient yet, because it's still new to everybody, but they're still able to have people work from home. And Tony Hawk just announced they just announced
they're remastering the game, right?
1 and 2 as one full game, and it's going to be the same people that remastered Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just insane how like the video game industry in the midst of this pandemic is just fucking booming, and not just like sales. I mean, Nintendo Switches are selling out again.
Yeah, a lot of people are playing Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
and but they're also having great sales.
Yeah,
they're having tremendous digital downloading sales. I bought Predator, 3 Uncharted games.
Yeah.
That other one. What's the other one I bought? Oh, Injustice.
Oh, Injustice 2, yeah. Speedrunners.
Just Speedrunners. Those are all new games. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. I paid $50 for all those games.
Shit.
And that's only because I paid $40 fucking for the Predator game, which I was all pissed off about. Because the Predator game is the only game that isn't really my style of game. Yeah. I'm not really a first-person shooter guy. I don't really like to play online. I like games that are more story-driven.
Mm-hmm.
And the only games that are really heavily story-driven is Injustice 2 has a heavy story, which cost me $6. And then I have the Uncharted, the trilogy of the Uncharted, which was free. It was a free download.
Yeah.
To and that was part of the whole stay-at-home initiative where they were like, stay at home and
here's a bonus.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Game for nothing. All right, I'll take it. And what's funny is I think I told you this, but they last month they gave away Uncharted 4, which is a sequel to that. So they gave it away for free last month.
Yeah.
And I downloaded it and I played it and I finished it and it was a good game. Short but good, And so then I got the trilogy. So now the trilogy, they're like prequels now.
Yeah.
Because they in the Uncharted 4, they reference all the other games. So now that I'm playing, I haven't started them, but when I saw a trailer for the first for the first one, right? So they have little trailers when you buy them.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer. I was like, hey, look, there's fucking like there's all these characters that were old in the like they're all young now. Like, hey, there's a young Sully. Oh, there's a young. So it's like I don't know. It's weird. It's like they're like prequels, but they're not prequels. But for me, it's
but for you, it is. That's fucking dope.
So it's pretty cool. It adds like a new it adds a layer to the experience other than just the story and the gameplay.
I mean, that's why Infinity Wars, the Infinity Saga does so well. Is doing so well. People love that connection and that. It's almost like you build an emotional connection with the characters.
You do. You really do.
And fucking Amazon's gonna join They're gonna join the whole video game endeavor, I believe, because a while back, I guess they purchased Twitch, and which is
really?
Yeah, so they purchased Twitch.
Yeah, a lot of people are on Twitch.
Yeah, and any games that usually have a Twitch account, or whoever's using Twitch and they're pretty popular and they're playing that game, they usually tend to become popular games. And so
I still don't get that whole like watching people play games.
Yeah,
like I don't get that.
I guess we're just too old for that. I guess
we're just too old.
Yeah,
because I remember I had a cousin. I used to work for my parents. They still do have a business in Monterey Park, and I would work there, right? And I had a cousin who's already now he's 18, but at the time he was like in, like 5th grade or whatever, and his school was right around the corner from my parents' work, and he would come after school, and he would come, around 2:00, and he would hang out there for about an hour, and then my uncle would come and pick him up, right? So he would come, and he would get on the computer, and he would watch, like Call of Duty gameplay. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what are you watching? They go, oh yeah, I'm watching, this guy, he's so funny, or I watch this guy, and I just never got it, I never got it, but hey, I watched retrospectives of The Simpsons, so the heart wants what the heart wants, as they say.
That is true. It's funny because Ethan, my son, he's 6 years old, and he that's all he does. He watches just people playing video games, and what I noticed, especially for kids, is the bigger the reaction and the stupider somebody makes themselves sound.
Right.
The more
they're into it.
Yeah, the more they're into it. So I think it's not the gameplay they're into. It's how the people just kind of fuck around.
I guess so. I don't know. Yeah, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, Amazon, they're coming out with a game. Their first game ever, actually.
They're coming out with a game. So they're like they got into the game developing business.
Exactly. So now which smart move on purchasing Twitch, because now they can push their game on the Twitch users.
Okay.
And they can be like,
but hey, Twitch is just a streaming website.
Yeah, it's just a streaming website. But now, they can give, because I think, I'm not sure if the accounts are free or if there's any perks.
A buddy of mine, I see him now. He's promoting himself on Twitch.
That's right, Drew, right?
Yeah, he plays 2K.
Yeah, shout out to Drew playing the 2K.
See, now that I could kind of get, because sporting games are so realistic and so unbelievably competitive, and with like real sports being not a thing right now, like there's no sports going on, that I could see how
right now 2K they're in 2K20, right? They have a digital league that was going on before, like all in the before times, as I like to call it.
Right.
They've
olden times.
Yeah, they had leagues of basketball teams, right? And you can get sponsored. I think there was and there was big sponsors too. I think like Verizon or Sprint was one of them, or something like that.
I just realized I'm wearing a Simpsons shirt, and I was speaking about how much I'm into the Simpsons. This is just coincidence.
He did it on purpose.
Yeah. Anyways, you were saying.
So, there was already, and now that this has gone down and everyone's at home and there's no sports to watch. All of a sudden, a lot of these esports, events are becoming a lot more popular. So Sorry, I
Who's
was
that?
distracted.
Who's that?
Ethan.
What's up?
Somebody give you presents?
What is that?
Oh, he got gifts. Who gave you that?
Hey.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Yeah. Hey, that was Ethan's first appearance on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Little cameo.
See, he's real. I'm not lying.
See, actually, speaking of which, I was, talking about did you finish what you were saying? Sorry.
No, the esports, they're just becoming
Oh
popular.
yeah, that their league is like getting really popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We were talking about The Last of Us. And you were saying how you didn't really get into it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm like really into it right now. Like, I don't know. When I got The Last of Us, the first time when I played it, it came with my PlayStation.
Yeah.
My PlayStation 4 that I bought. It came with with the digital download, and I started playing it, and like I don't remember, maybe because like before that I hadn't really been into gaming for a lot of years, and I don't know if maybe now I'm just like a much more savvy game player, but like it was really, remember it being really hard, and after a while I just kind of gave up on it, and I just moved on to other games because that game. I only played it because it came with the console.
PlayStation, yeah.
I wasn't necessarily interested in playing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like once I got other games, I just kind of got left in the dust. So now I'm playing it like out of my own, wanting to play it.
Yeah.
My own interests, and it's like it's good. I like it.
It's funny when we had that conversation about it and how I told you I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
And there's two things. I told you I didn't really like zombie games, and you said it wasn't really a zombie game. But then I realized I don't really like stealth games.
I love stealth games.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know what it is about stealth games.
It's very slow, but very satisfying.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you say you like fast-paced games more?
Yeah, but what I was gonna get to was Mike and I, we were playing GTA again. We started playing again because we're playing with one of our other friends, Rob.
Right.
His cousin.
Rob, man.
Yeah. His cousins, started getting into it because like 15 years old. He asked us if we wanted to get in on his heist now because they do heists on GTA. But anyway. They show you your stats when you're gonna.
I prefer Red Dead over GTA, but anyway, that's just me.
I kind of do too, but now that we got into the heist, back into the heist, because Red Dead right now because Red Dead right now doesn't really have much to offer until they get it.
It got a little stale.
Yeah. So anyway, when you join the heist and other people, they show your stats, right? And they have a lot of the stuff. So they have like driving. So Mike, of course, he has it all filled up, and it's like. It says pro racer, and then for stealth, he's a ninja because he's just all the way filled up.
Okay.
Anyway, for my stealth, like
but what's funny? You say that is that when we play online, when we play Injustice, and you know how you could level up your characters, right? So your strength gets high. Mike always cries about that. Oh, look at how good your fucking stats are better than mine because you play more. Like, that's fucking bullshit. Yet on GTA, he's fucking 100% on all his stats. You don't hear him crying then.
Well, see, on that though, we're all playing as a team, so we're not playing against each other. So I can see why he wouldn't complain about that.
Yeah.
At least I don't care. But Mike is just really fucking competitive, and. Anyway, going back to that.
Well, I guess so. Kind of a loser for being so competitive.
So my stealth said it wasn't even filled up, and all it said was I'm just super loud. So even on GTA where stealth is not even focused on, I still don't give a fuck about stealth. I don't know. I just don't like stealth games. It's.
What about Shadow of Mordor? You said that you got into that game. That game's pretty heavy on stealth.
Yeah, I did like that game, but I do remember like it took me a while to get the hang of it, and then once I was just like super fucking like
like your guy was all beast, and you didn't have to go stealth.
Yeah, I didn't even go stealth anymore. I just fucking went in and just started killing everybody.
I remember, in the late '90s, there was I was still playing, even though games had already like sort of jumped into the 3D era. I was still playing a lot of like Super Nintendo games, and I was still into like platformers and stuff and 2D games. And a buddy of mine had the PlayStation 1, and he had Metal Gear, Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Which was actually like the third game in that series, but it was kind of like the first game. A lot of people had never even heard of Metal Gear on. I think it was on Nintendo. I don't even think it was on Super Nintendo. It was the original Metal Gear.
Yeah.
So Metal Gear Solid, and that was a stealth game.
Uh-huh.
And I remember trying to play it and not liking it because I just didn't get it. Like I'm like, well, you're so used to playing Donkey Kong or Mario where you're just sort of like, just plowing through the levels. So, but now I'm like in love with stealth games, dude. Like it could be slow and it can be tedious, but oddly satisfying. That like I said, the hard wants with the hot wants.
Yeah, I'm more into like I guess I'm more into like.
But you know what? Like Spider-Man had a good amount of stealth.
That's right.
I don't think I really.
I don't think I really played it as a stealth game though. Eventually,
but you have to at certain points.
Yeah, at certain points you do. I remember there was times like there's for people who haven't played it, you get.
What about Batman?
Well, that's what I was going to get to.
Mr. Stealth.
Yeah, and I've only played one. I've only played one game of that Batman game. But
which one?
The city one, I believe.
Arkham City.
Yeah.
Uncharted's hugely stealth.
For the Spider-Man one though, the Mary Jane looking levels, when you gotta play as Mary.
Oh yeah, you remember you didn't like those.
I fucking hated those, dude. Like those were like.
Well, that's because you didn't kill. At least in the Spider-Man stealth ones, you could you were stealthing around, but you still got to kill, or you still got to fuck motherfuckers up. Mary Jane, you couldn't get caught at all. You couldn't take on anybody.
No, you couldn't.
Those are Uncharted though. The one thing that Uncharted doesn't have that all those other games that we've talked about have is an ability to hear or use like some sort of radar where you could see where all your guys are at, and sort of like strategize your attack. Uncharted doesn't have that. You don't have any sort of special ability where you could like radar your guys or radar the enemies.
Well, you played on hard, right?
Did I play on hard? No,
I remember you told me you played on hard.
No, I played on normal, but I played on normal. The only thing I didn't do is auto lock on the guns.
Oh, okay.
I took off auto lock, so that you had to really like get your shit. Last of Us doesn't even have a choice of that. You have to. They really want you to strategize your the way you get around. In fact, when you first started and they're telling you like they're giving you like tutorials and stuff. One of the tutorials literally says that sometimes it's not even worth it to fight. Just book it. Just leave. Sometimes they tell you like it's better to just not even fight, to just get past them and get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
So like it's not really a combat game. It is a combat game, but it's not like that's not the focus. It's when it comes to gameplay, it's definitely like eclectic. Yeah. But with Uncharted, you had to just like let's listen and like look and like there was no raid. So I thought that was kind of cool. It was a little different.
I do have the collection and Uncharted 4, so maybe I should try playing them.
I mean, yeah, it's cool. Try it.
But damn, and then with that whole Tony Hawk thing, I also read, with the games releasing again, and they're set for September this year.
Tony Hawk.
They originally released in 1999. They said like Tony Hawk's game pretty much catapulted skateboarding into like the mainstream.
The mainstream?
And
2020. I remember at that time though, a lot of people were into skating, and that kind of just like added to the hype and like made it really very, very quote unquote mainstream.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Tony Hawk. I mean, the way this article read. To me, Tony Hawk was kind of like the Kobe Bryant or like the Jordan of
skating.
Where like he did like the first ever 900, right? And then,
yeah, when I was into skating though, I didn't care much for what's called vert skating, which is attorney hockey's I don't know if maybe because I lived in fucking East LA or Boyle Heights or whatever, but it seemed like if you were cool, you were into street skating.
yeah,
You would skate around the street and do tricks off ledges, and that's all. I remember. Like the X Games was too polished. People like it was just like.
Now they have like a street skating event. For pro skaters. Which I was watching that with Mike.
There was something very, very rock and roll about like street skating. Yeah. And you had Chad Muska, and you had Chad Fernandez, and you had Rodney Mullen, and all these motherfuckers.
Which is kind of like Tony Hawk kind of like opened the floodgates for these guys to go out and show what essentially what they got. Anyway, fast forward to now, 2020 Tokyo Games, which is now postponed. X
Games?
No, the Tokyo Games, the Olympics.
Oh, right,
it's just now it's postponed because of the virus. But when it does reopen, it's going to be the first skateboarding street and park events ever in the Olympics.
So there's not going to be any audience?
No. They postponed it for now. So I don't know when they're thinking it might happen in 2021. So next year. But when it does open, it's going to be the first time ever that skateboarding is going to be. It's going to be they're actually going to see it as a real sport. And, what's that?
If I can be candid for a second, I don't know why, but this whole quarantine, it's been going on for a while, and like for some reason, I kind of know why, but. It kind of really like got to me this week, and I started to get a combination of like depressed and also like kind of resentful and kind of angry that we're essentially going to lose like a year of our lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're at home, and yeah, we're, there's things to do. We have the internet, there's still plenty to learn, but it's, I don't know, like it just sort of got to me this week, and I started to get very just kind of sad. I was just kind of like I was just over it. I was just kind of like I guess I miss the freedom of it all, I guess, and this and that, But then, was I really that happy before the fucking quarantine started?
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, really think back to before this happened.
Well, yeah, for sure. But I mean, it's a curse and a blessing. It's a curse because I'm like, I think even people like us who are who have been pretty cooperative with everything that's been going on. I think people are starting to get restless, but I think it has, given people time to reflect and think about like, wow, what am I doing? Like what's going to happen when this is over? Like I'm crying right now, but am I going to go back to how I was and cry then about how, man, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
what's really the answer? And I mean, the answer is different for everybody, but my mom told me something, we were talking about like unemployment and all the money we're getting, for people who lost their jobs because of COVID and everything. And I was telling, my mom and my aunts for Mother's Day, I was telling them how I was taking this online class and I'm trying to like sort of like up my game in terms of like what I want my career to be and this and that, now that I have the time and I don't really have to worry about the money. And my mom said, she goes, wow, what an amazing opportunity for you for essentially the government to pay you to pursue your dreams, or your goals,
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what's happening. And I never have really thought about it at that point like that. Like, man, like the government's paying me to pretty much do whatever I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Whether that be play video games all day or this and that. And so I don't know. I think, it's okay to be, you don't feel that you have to wake up every day and like, oh, I need to focus and be super productive. It's okay to have a day where you're sitting around on your ass all day. I've been having a lot of those lately. But but at the same time, I think this is something that a lot of people can and should take advantage of, especially if you're getting unemployment. I don't know what everyone I know, has pretty much was able to utilize the unemployment, but I don't know. A lot of people aren't, and a lot of people are struggling. And I understand, like, money creates a lot of stress because even though jobs and income have essentially halted, unfortunately, from a a pay aspect, we still got to pay our rent, we still got to keep the lights on and all that. And if you're not having any income, it could be tremendously stressful, like very stressful.
Yeah, people just have to.
I get it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, who knows who at the end? People have, there's a lot of, there's a lot of people who have a lot more overhead than we do and don't have half the help that we have. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. I mean, shit. There's other countries where no one's getting help.
Yeah. Well, don't worry about that. I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, no, true. But I mean, I'm just talking about the United States specifically. Not only are we not are we really getting put through a time that is unprecedented, not just from a health standpoint, but economically and financially, but we're also spoiled. We're very spoiled and set in our ways, and we're not. A lot of us are not cut out for this kind of stuff, and that's why. And we're getting angry. Like, wait a minute, no, we're Americans.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. And I was tweeting yesterday, and you see how there's protesting going on, and not going to make it a race thing, but well, that's exactly what I'm going to do, actually. But you can't help but notice is that the protesters you see, they're predominantly white people. They're white, and I mean, okay, that's fine. It's not their fault they're white. That's it's not my fault I'm Mexican or anybody. Yeah. But I just had this thought, and I just thought, I think the reason why you're seeing this predominantly in white neighborhoods, predominantly in Orange County, where it's predominantly white people, is because minorities, black people, and brown people, whether they be Mexican or whatever, El Salvadorian or whatever, I should say brown people, because there are people who could pass for white. Their skin's light enough. Yeah. Predominantly, though, black and brown people are taught from the time that they're kids that it's easier to just comply to the government because they're in charge and they don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And there's nothing you can do about it.
So it's easier, and white people don't have that because they just don't, and especially for black men and brown men, when it comes to the police and this and that, we're told just do what they say, not because they want us to be complacent, but they just want us to live because they know what the police are capable of. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think a lot of white people are like, well, wait a minute, like this doesn't happen to us, or not to say that they're like, oh, this is supposed to happen to black people or brown people, not to us. They're just not used to it as a race, and and I'm not saying that it's their fault or that this and that. I never blame white people for anything. I just want them to understand that, or want them to realize that they just don't understand what it's like to be us, really. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. I don't expect white people to do anything for me. Just understand that. You know what I'm saying? Just realize that.
It's almost like this is their opportunity to see.
Like, people, telling us like, pretty much deboing us, being like, what's up, what fucking freedom, nigga, go back inside.
Yeah.
It's like, that's been our whole lives, Yeah. That's been, and we're so used to it, that's why they call it systematic oppression.
Yeah.
Because we're, I was talking to some of our coworkers, and we were talking about the government giving us, our unemployment. And we almost were like, I remember a lot of people said when they got their first unemployment check, they felt very uneasy about getting money for not doing it, almost like they were cheating the government, that they were doing something wrong.
Like they weren't entitled to any of
that. Yeah, they were like doing something wrong. And I said to them, it's so crazy how we're so indoctrinated. We're so indoctrinated to struggle. Like we're so indoctrinated to be like, whoa, wait a minute, we're supposed to do for ourselves. We're supposed to earn our own living. We're not supposed to be taking handouts,
Yeah, it's almost like we're afraid to be happy. Like if something.
Not so much that we're afraid to be happy. We're just indoctrinated to struggle. We're just taught that we're supposed to struggle. You know what I'm saying? And that's, and like there's people who are born into wealth and born, in a higher class. That's just not us. There's people, and it's hard to break those thoughts. That those things you've been taught your whole life. We're in a sense, we're brainwashed to think that we're not supposed to get help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to think.
It is. Which leads to like the anxiety of thinking like any minute, like there's somebody that's gonna be
I still feel like man, something's gonna go wrong and they're gonna take all the money away.
Yeah.
So every time I get my money, I take it all out of the bank. Take it out, and I hide it, dude. I hide it. That way they can't take it back. They have to come fucking pry it from my cold dead hands.
Yeah, they're gonna have to come and find me. Man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but oh man, yeah. But anyway, probably shouldn't say that.
Well, nah, you're good. That was a good. That was actually a good way to sum up everything that's been going on. Especially, I've had that argument here with a couple of my family.
About what?
I'm not gonna mention here, but like with the whole beach thing, and we were saying, it's good that the beaches are closed for now,
right?
And then but who do you see crying over the beaches that are closed? Orange County,
right?
Like, it's the white people that are fucking.
It's the white folk,
and
they're just not used to being told
I remember,
what to do all the
time.
time.
My argument for that was: do you think if they close down, a minority, town, a city or town, whatever, whether it be South LA, whether it be fucking East LA,
The only thing.
Do you think they'd give a fuck? Do you think even if we rallied about it, like,
of course not.
They'd be like, no, you guys need to stay home.
They were like, shoot those motherfuckers right now.
Yeah.
Be easier to move on in, take all their property. The only thing that fucking that minorities protest is white people. They're like, get out of our neighborhoods. But at the same time, like we're just so taught to just do what they say. They're like stay inside. We're like, okay,
yeah,
we'll stay inside.
Yes, Mister.
Yes, Mr. Popo man. It's really a good time to study the culture. The different, the way culture perceives government, I guess, and how we react to it and why we react to it that way.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't blame white people for anything, and I don't expect anything from white people. I think a lot of them feel that way, that we expect them to, like, I don't expect anything from them. I just hope that they realize that they just can't understand what it's like to be a black man or a black woman, or just like a man can't understand what it's like to be a woman in terms of what women have gone through, in their own, in their own right, and how far they've come as a gender and this and that. I know that I'm not a woman. How can I possibly understand what it's like to be a woman, be treated like a woman? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
So yes.
But anyway,
thank you guys for listening. We're coming up.
Oh, we're done?
Yeah.
Are we? Shit.
Yeah.
I wanted to say one more thing. I can say it real quick. I was saying there was another documentary that I had watched, right? It was called Empire of Dreams. I remember it came out on TV back in the day because it's from 2004, but it's about the making of the original trilogy of Star Wars, right?
Oh shit, sounds dope.
It's on Disney Plus. It's really good. It kind of glosses over a lot of stuff. You know, it's very much an ode to George Lucas. It's not it's not the type of documentary where they're gonna really get to the dark shit. You know, they make it's very inspirational. It's not something to deconstruct Star Wars. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's very much in praise of Star Wars, which is fine because I love Star Wars and I especially love the original trilogy, as most people would say.
Well, I was going to say they're probably just treading lightly because, you know, their fan base is really split right now.
But what it really does is shines the light on George Lucas and what an innovator he really was. And I think nowadays George Lucas gets a lot of flack because of the newer trilogies, you know, the prequels and the trilogies that came after, and then
his remastering of the
remastering and this and that, and I was one of them. You know, I found, man, George Lucas, you fucking idiot. You know, I think I even said it on the podcast, right?
You did.
Gave it to him one day, right?
Yeah.
So I want to. So when this documentary, shit, sorry. This documentary taught me something about George Lucas that I didn't realize, and it affects. It pretty much affected everything that came after it, including us, you and me specifically. George Lucas, you know, yes, he innovated filmmaking. Star Wars really changed the game in terms of what was possible with, you know, and you know, if you look at the 80s, 80s is very well known for sci-fi and space, a lot of stuff in space and a lot of sci-fi in the 80s. Right. Star Wars really, you know, catapulted that interest in space. You know, there was really no heavy duty sci-fi going on. And some people don't even say that it's a sci-fi movie. They say it's more of like a space fantasy, more like a fantasy movie than it is sci-fi. Anyways, not just that though, but Lucas, he innovated a lot in post-production, in audio, in post-production editing. Obviously, he innovated a ton of special effects and what was possible with special effects. And the one thing that he actually invented that I didn't realize, he invented or developed, or he pretty much made, like Lucas, whatever company, there's a few of them. He pretty much invented the very first digital non-linear editing program, which is like programs like Final Cut, what we use, Adobe. Lucas invented that. It didn't exist before George Lucas and like Star Wars. Before that, you know, you were editing film and you had to start at the beginning and go. Cut it. Start at the beginning and go from the end. You couldn't go non-linear. Now, you know, you could sort of start wherever you want. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, wow, that's crazy because that's what we use. We use non-linear editing to do our podcast. You know,
I gotta watch this documentary then.
It's cool. It's like I said, it's old and it's definitely an ode to Star Wars and George Lucas, you know, so it's not going to give you all the criticism that some of it is justified in this and that. But George Lucas, you know, I got to say, you know, the guy really was, the way we talked about Walt Disney and the way we talked about Steve Jobs, in a lot of ways, George Lucas really was an innovator in a lot of ways, not just in movie making, but also in movie production, movie post-production. And, you know, I'm sure he doesn't give a fuck what some random podcaster has to say, but here's to you, George.
We appreciate it, George.
Yeah, you know what? I take back what I said. Wow, not all of it, but thanks for the editing program.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys for listening. Our first Doom podcast. Yay.
Yeah.